When I was 13 years old, and I was sitting in church with my parents. And while I was sitting there, I was looking at the minister. He was up front, and I was watching what he was doing, and I noticed there was some commotion over to my left-hand side as people were preparing to pass the offering basket. And my mom was on my left, my dad was on my right, and I just remember thinking that this just didn't feel right. There was something about this whole experience and situation that just didn't sit well with me, and there was nothing about it that was bad. It was just, it didn't feel right for some reason. And so I'm looking around, and all of a sudden I hear this voice up here on my right-hand side. It was very deep, it was very clear, and it was very articulate. And it said, "You're going to be doing this someday." And I remember looking around, and I looked at my mom and my dad, and I was trying to see if they had heard the same voice that I did. And I looked around to see if anybody else had heard it. It didn't appear that anybody had. It appeared that I was the only one that had that. And then, of course, I'm thinking, well, am I crazy? Where did this voice come from? Why would I be hearing this voice? And what did it mean that I'll be doing this someday? Because I knew that I wasn't going to be a minister. I knew that was not any kind of a path that I was going to take. So I remember just sitting there and letting that more or less be in my awareness. And then it was a couple minutes later, same voice, same place said, "You're going to be doing this differently." So I'm thinking about that. Okay, I'm going to be doing it differently. What does that mean? Now again, I'm 13 years old, didn't really understand what any of that meant. Certainly didn't have any thought or idea about being a minister or being a speaker or being anything that perhaps I'm doing or being right now. But I'd held that since I was 13 years old, and I actually knew prior to that experience that there was something within me that I was to share. A message, my way of living, my way of being. I wasn't really sure, but I knew there was something within me that was important, that was trying to work its way out. And that's led me to really my whole idea and all that I write and speak about, living in full expression, about allowing that inspiration that's within me, within any of us, to get out. Allow it to be alive in the world, which as you allow that to be alive in the world, we become more alive.